Welcome into Chatterbox Bengals. It is on a dreary day here in Cincinnati because the Bengals just suffered their worst loss in franchise history, obviously last week. Joe Burrow goes down, and the timeline, the timetable that we got, it's an optimistic one, but one that we are going to hold and hug tight because it's our only real chance to do anything this season, is about 3 months, bringing Joe Burrow back at the beginning of December. So the question has started floating around, even though Jake Browning has had some success as the backup quarterback to Joe Burrow, is should the Bengals go out and get a veteran to kind of bridge the gap, keep the season alive, and maybe you can make a push in December for the postseason and maybe make some magic happen? And one of the names that we here at Chatterbox have kind of thought a little more about is someone who I used to be a huge fan of. A lot of Bengals fans, a divisive guy, but still playing in the league. He's a veteran presence, and that is Andy Dalton. Obviously took the Bengals to 5 different playoff berths, did not win any of those playoff games, but led the team during his first 5 years here in Cincinnati and is still a veteran quarterback. And I'm going to make the case here, Stone. It's silly. I get it. It's silly. Jake Browning might be better than Andy Dalton at this time. But let me make the case for Andy Dalton and why I think that this isn't the most ludicrous thing you'll hear this week, that the Bengals should go out and trade a 7th rounder to bring in Andy Dalton and let him be our veteran presence. The reason I think is this. This offense, though it has a bad offensive line, it's currently graded the worst offense in the league, both in pass or rushing and passing game EPA. It is the worst in the league. We have Jamar Chase, Tee Higgins, Mike Gesicki, Noah Fant, Chase Brown, so many weapons. We just need a point guard to get him the rock, right? We need a guy that knows how to control an offense, maintain the game, be a game manager, someone that's played under Zach Taylor, has had a little bit success with Zach Taylor. I'm thinking about that 450-yard game that he passed against the Seattle Seahawks and Zach Taylor's first game as the head coach. I think Andy Dalton can be our guy here. I think he's got the ability to be that point guard that we thought that we need here in Cincinnati. Tell me if I'm being crazy or not, Stone.
I would say you are being crazy a little bit. Look, I get it. Andy Dalton, there's a lot of people here in the city that had a lot of love for Andy Dalton. I certainly did as
I'm one
well.
of them, yeah.
Did great things, right? Obviously no playoff wins. Won a lot of games here in Cincinnati. But the reality of the situation is this. If you have to find yourself in a spot where you're on your 3rd quarterback, which that would be the case if Andy Dalton was brought here. Let me just pause real quick. You want him to come in and be the starter, right?
I want him. I think I've seen 8 turnovers with Jake Browning. Yeah. 3 of them are not his, but he's turned the ball over 5 times. I don't think Andy Dalton's going to turn the ball over 5 times in 2 games.
Okay. If you get on your 3rd quarterback, the season's cooked, right? If this team is going to have any opportunity about potentially staying alive long enough in the postseason race before Joe Burrow theoretically could potentially come back, it's going to be Jake Browning. I get this game against Minnesota. It was ugly. And if Jake Browning continues to play like that, the Bengals are in serious, serious trouble. But he understands the system. He's been here. He sat behind Burrow last year. He had the success in 2023. You would just be ripping Andy Dalton off of a team where he's the backup right now and then saying, hey, you got to come be our starter right now. With that offensive line that you have in Cincinnati, Andy Dalton's a borderline statue here at this point of his career. You want to put him behind that offensive line? I just don't see it as something that's a realistic situation, number one, for Cincinnati. It would completely shock me if they made a trade. Remember, they made a trade right before the deadline last year, and it was their first trade in forever. Yeah. I don't see them doing something like that. They're going to ride here with Jake Browning. You know, I get kind of an argument of before, like right when Joe Burrow went down, if you wanted to go after somebody that was a little bit more of a higher-level guy than a Mike White, or the St. X kid Clifford that you brought in as well. I get that. But here after one game, just to bring someone else in, create some of that divisiveness in the locker room, it just, to me, it makes absolutely no sense.
So I hear you. I fully hear you. And I understand the silliness. The Carolina Panthers might be the worst team in the league. To pluck the worst team in the league's backup quarterback and saying, hey, you save our season, objectively is a silly thing to ask for. But Stone, I don't know if you know this about me. I'm a bit of a romantic. I like a good story.
Oh, it's a great story.
And there's something to the idea that we bring home Andy Dalton and his last hurrah. We bring him around and say, look, Andy, we love you here in town. We've had some good times with you. Can you give us one more? Can you give your family one more? Can you come back here to Cincinnati and win 5 of the next 12 games? Now, we're not asking you to be 8-4, just 5-7. Get us to above 500. Joe will be right back from his injury. Hopefully that the surgery went well, so he'll be just back in time for the postseason. We make a late push. Andy, can we just pull a little more magic out of you? There's only this much left in you. I know you only got this much left, but can we pull enough out of you to make this season worth playing? Or else it's just, what are we doing here? I guess I'm just being a hopeless romantic for one more time in the sun for the red-haired kid, the red rifle here in Cincinnati. Can you see the romance of it? Can you see the magic that I'm just vying for?
That I can see. That I can totally see. I get it. Look, I love a good story too, and that would certainly, people in our line of work would give us a lot to talk about, right?
Sure,
if they
sure.
brought back Andy Dalton, but I just think I get it. Jake Browning, it was bad, and really he was lucky to win the Jacksonville game. But if you get to another quarterback, that's just, you're not going to find a way to win with your third quarterback. It just doesn't work like that in this league. If they're going to figure it out, it's going to be with Jake Browning. I think it's premature to quit on him yet. All right.
Okay.
And with no Andy Dalton with that run game, come on. Great story. Great story. It'd be fun. Seeing him run out there, it'd be like, okay, we'll tune in. It'd be fun. But just to sit there and make the argument, I don't know if this is exactly what you're doing, but that Andy Dalton gives his team the best chance to win over Jake Browning is a little crazy.
I've seen Jake Browning now for 2 games. He's missing a lot of passes. He's turned the ball over 5 times. I know that Andy Dalton won't turn the ball over 5 times. Are you going to still have some of the more explosive plays that we've come to know with Jake Browning? Probably not. Imagine how many times you're going to see Andy Dalton throw the ball away. Like, imagine with this offensive line, knowing Andy Dalton, how many times we're going to see 1, 2, 3 step back. All right, chuck it out of play. His first read wasn't there. Second read, he's about to get throw it out of play.
He'll do it on 4th down too, by the way, Andy Dalton.
But you also know that when you're working with a backup quarterback and you're working like the Bengals are, you can't give the other team the ball 8 times in 6.5 quarters like Jake Browning has. Andy Dalton's not going to do that. I don't know if it's the best option to win football games. I just know it's familiar. I know I'm not going to get a bunch of turnovers. I know he's going to be a little bit protect the ball. And I know he can distribute the rock like a true point guard and say, all right, T, here's your 5, 6 catches a game. Jamar, here's your 8 catches a game. And you are comfortable with at least a professional effort from Andy Dalton. So I get it's crazy. I get it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I'm grasping at straws here. I'm looking for something romantic here at the end of the season. And I'm just a big Andy Dalton fan, and I know it's going to cost nothing. It's going to cost us our last pick. So it seems like maybe there's some upside there. At the end of the day, the Bengals aren't in a good spot, and I'm fishing for any ways to make it a little bit brighter. 10A off the bench every single day, Monday through Friday. 11A, Stone Shields will take you for an hour. We're the host of those 2 shows. We'll see you guys in the morning. That does it for this edition of Chatterbox Bengals.